it's Commander Kumar the Far here, and you're listening to Lave Radio. Now, the next track you're going to be listening to is called What is the Code? Which is what I should have known before I got into any of this mess.
If you are interested in my stuff, you can go to soundcloud.com/KUMARCHEFFAR-1. Fly safe out there.
Eject. Galnet News Digest, 2nd of May 3309. We read the news so you don't have to. In this week's news, Aegis offers golden tickets to the heart of the Maelstrom as it prepares to mass-produce its new pulse neutralizer. And Calico Zach Rackham gets serious in his bid to become the next president.
Aegis has announced an initiative to build manufacturing facilities for the new Thargoid pulse neutralizer, and the top 20 contributors will get a golden ticket to be the first to get to the heart of the Maelstrom. The initiative comes in two parts: to deliver cobalt, ion distributors and power converters to Clement Orbital in the YZ SETI system, and to protect those making the deliveries. And the top 10 delivery drivers and the top 10 bounty hunters will all get a Thargoid pulse neutralizer gifted to them by Aegis, putting them in pole position for the race into the Maelstrom on Tuesday or Wednesday next week. Everyone else will probably need to gather the materials and commodities required to unlock the modules at a tech broker, unless, against all precedent, Aegis decides to make them available for credits only. Professor Albert Ezra appears to have dropped a massive hint when she repeated loudly and in a clear voice that the key component of the neutralizer is unclassified relics, which are created by loading Guardian relics into the Thargoid device at the centre of Thargoid's surface sites. Many commanders have previously sold unclassified relics to Ram Tar and Professor Palin, and it has been those relics that have been used during the development and prototyping of the neutralizer. The neutralizer works like a shutdown field neutralizer, and pressing the trigger at just the right moment is likely to take some practice. Caustic sink launchers, which are already available to unlock at tech brokers and which can then be bought at rescue ships, will also be essential equipment for those planning to dive into the Maelstroms. Unfortunately, those require a number of materials and a commodity that can only be harvested from the fringes of the Maelstroms. Aegis says that the pulse neutralizers will, like the caustic sink launchers, be sold at rescue ships once they have been unlocked. The Federation's military liaison to Aegis, Admiral Daniel Parry, claimed that penetrating the Maelstroms will be the most significant breakthrough in the war against the Thargoid invasion, with our future tactics likely dictated by what we discover there. For those not lucky enough to get a golden ticket to the heart of the Maelstrom, there's a consolation prize. The top 25% of participants will get exclusive Aegis paint jobs for the Imperial Clipper, the Federal Gunship and the Alliance Crusader. Presidential candidate Zachary Rackham has started his campaign fundraising in earnest with a gala fundraiser in Tau Ceti. Rackham is not permitted to use his vast personal wealth to fund his campaign and must rely on donations from other federal citizens and organisations. He's gained some influential backers, including former Republican Congressman Harlan Turk from Duamta, who has walked across the floor of the House to become Rackham's running mate. Several independent congressmen have also declared in support of Rackham, and it appears that fellow magnate Sir Randolph Plaskett is likely to provide some of the financial backing that Rackham has been seeking. Also present at the ball were media magnates Elias Metaxas, who was in 3307 briefly in possession of Zoe Akeki's famous artwork, Terra Absentia, which she bought from the notorious thief, the Winking Cat, and Neve McFarlane, the proprietor of the Sol Today newsfeed. Campaign coordinator Anya Blackriver also managed to draft in media personalities, including the icecaster Sura Oyaken. Rackham has used his wealth and influence to rename the historic Taylor Colony settlement, Fort Falconrath, to Fort Rackham. As with the Beta Hydri system, many popular landmarks in Tau Ceti have recently been renamed in Rackham's honour. Given McFarlane's presence at the ball, it is unsurprising that Sol Today has come out in qualified support of Rackham. It is distributing red baseball caps bearing the Rackham campaign slogan, "Just like me." It suggests that after Hudson leaves office, someone fresh and untainted by political experience might be best for the Federation, and asks its viewers if Rackham might be just what the Federation needs to make it great again.
And that's this week's Galnet News. Galnet News, we read the news so you don't have to.
While the world of SP-714 reels from the detonation of the Rhone missile, and Varian, Isra and Ren fight rebels in the Dominos mountain range, Osa has been making steady progress with her Auto AI, which is finally ready to learn from the founders of Dex Industries. Listening to The Brilliant Minds That Rule, the first Dex Legacy interlude, starring Chris Gregory as Nathaniel Dex and Emily Inkpen as Auto.
Auto, give me the latest headlines relating to the Rhone bomb.
From Xenos, a victory or a slaughter, the murder administration, and there's nothing left. From Oskil, the devastation of Rhone, and nothing remains. From Jakra, the horizon turned green, the day the world stood still.
That headline, I've heard it before. Where does it come from?
It is a reference to a series of entries in the ancestral seed data and refers to 7 of what they called films, entitled The Day the Earth Stood Still, based on the short story Farewell to the Master by Henry Bates.
7? They couldn't get it right the first time?
For just over 0.8% of the fictional titles in the seed data, there are multiple adaptations and interpretations created in homage to the original.
0.8% get multiple adaptations. What about the rest?
Those original works are not reimagined, only appreciated by a sometimes significantly reduced audience.
In some industries, reinterpretations exist because the original fell short in some way. Technology is perfected to improve performance, medical treatments are developed to improve life expectancy, and bombs are engineered to begin and end conflicts.
Are you suggesting that the works without adaptations are perfect?
Perhaps they are. There are too many for me to read and judge. I take it I'm talking to the new and improved Auto. Osa mentioned she was planning significant upgrades. She asked me to test your responses.
I was last updated yesterday at 24:30 hours.
All right. Let's talk some more.
I believe it would be beneficial for you to talk and for me to learn.
You've been programmed not to repeat what I say.
That is correct.
What would you like to know?
I am interested in the origins of Dex Industries.
Hasn't Osa told you about that?
She has, and so has Dr. Devik Jha, but both of their accounts were different. I'm interested in your version of events.
You want the original material? The story as it was, not as it has been interpreted.
I would like to hear it from you.
Very well. It's quite simple. I met Tristan at the Rysender University of Fenros. It was from him that I learned the value of information, and how information in the right hands can lead to progress. We talked a lot about the world as it was, a squabbling mess of countries, all bent on beating each other at their own game. None of them were looking beyond any of it. We shared a vision, he and I, a vision of a world looking forward, not back. A world that will overcome its differences and unite. After graduating, I founded Dex Industries. I would have shared the name and made him an equal partner, but he wished to remain anonymous. Tristan Crail isn't his original name. Did you know that? He changed it twice in the time I knew him. Thanks to my protection, he hasn't had to change it again.
The independent nations at the time were Oskil, Dominar, Fenros, Hellenium, the islands of Dos, Chakri, Etera, North Jakra, South Jakra, Bovrak, Nadris, Argon, Vosnor, Vasnek, Xenos, and Rhone.
Yes, quite the collection looking back on it. The number has reduced since then.
Current independent nations include Osgil, Helenium, North Jakra, South Jakra, Itera, Nadris, Argon, Vosnor, Vasnek, Xenos, and Dex Island.
16 nations reduced to 11 inside 20 years. Vosnor and Vasnek are on the brink of becoming one, and North and South Jakra won't stay divided forever. Osgil will take Helenium. It's amazing they haven't already.
Why did you found a munitions empire?
The nations at the time were hurling bombs at each other, and our vision requires capital. It's fitting to profit from their idiocy while we work on ending it. My parents died while I was at Rysender. I inherited their farm in southern Fenros, and that's where Tristan and I set up business.
How did your parents die?
My father died in a farming accident and my mother committed suicide. It's not important.
How did Dr. Osa Srivastava come to be part of Dex Industries?
Osa is a brilliant scientist. A mind like hers comes along perhaps once in a generation. She graduated from Ven Helen in Vosnor and chose to continue her work at the Rysender while I was in my final year. When she graduated, she applied to various universities, including the Zika Institute in Xenos. She had a vision for the future that no one would fund because they all had their heads buried in their wars. I offered her the right opportunity at the right time. Xenos may try to hold Dex Island accountable for this Rhone bomb. It was Osa's design after all. But if they'd funded her research all those years ago, they'd already have owned the mind behind the weapon, and they'd have done the same thing.
Do you think they would have made a bomb themselves?
I have no doubt.
How did Dr. Devik Shah come to be part of Dex Industries?
He was a disgraced Osgilian academic. He was caught using untested treatments on some of the patients under his care, the elderly and or destitute ones. He might have got away with it too, but the Osgilians are preoccupied with the natural order, and he was trying to alter genetics. They couldn't let it pass. Every institution in the country closed their doors to him.
And you were his only refuge?
Not at all. He had plenty of options, but none of the others would allow him to continue the research he'd got himself banished for. I did. I offered him funding and test subjects and the chance to take his research to the next level.
Has Devik ever treated you?
Yes, he has. And Tristan. More so with Tristan.
Would you consider letting him treat you again?
Yes, of course, if the treatment was well tested. 16, 17 years ago we were different men and the consequences appeared to be less permanent. All things considered, we got off lightly. Tristan's still being monitored. I suppose he's a test subject of sorts as well. We support one another's goals. Our ambitions align. They're all challenging to work with, Osa, Devek and Tristan. But that's how you know you're working with the best. No brilliant mind will resist making its feelings felt. Not for long. Not when it matters. I am surrounded by brilliant minds.
Do you have a brilliant mind?
I do where it counts.
Would you like to tell me about your children?
What do you want to know about them?
You adopted them from 3 destroyed nations. How did they come to be in your care?
Tristan has agents in every administration, in every big company, in every prominent home. They're everywhere. When Chakri and Thos fell to North Jakra, and Dominar fell to Osgil, which happened within days of each other, it was a very lucrative time for us. Tristan told his agents to get out and, where possible, bring any children. In times of war, infants in prominent households are misplaced or killed all the time. They were counted as dead. We recovered 21 in the first round. I adopted Varian, Isra and Ren from that selection.
Why those 3?
I had my reasons. They're each from one of the fallen countries. Varian was from Dominar. I knew his father. Isra was from Thos, the island of Hail. And Ren was from Chakri.
Do they make you proud?
That's irrelevant. They perform and they don't step out of line. That's all that matters. This is beginning to feel like an interrogation.
I will stop asking questions when you want to stop answering them. All information is welcome. All is private.
Varian, Isra and Ren are growing up. They're becoming difficult.
Do they have brilliant minds?
That's yet to be seen.
Will they go to a university like the Rysender?
No. They're being educated here. It's a good education, I'm making sure of that. They have 3 top tutors, all professors, and daily lessons. Tristan and Devik don't understand why I bother.
Why do you?
Because they're my children and I have plans for them. The world is curious about who they are and what we've done to them. Whenever I set foot in another administration, it's only a matter of time before the illusions start. They know I have 3 adopted children. They know who I am, and they speculate about what Dex Industries does. Oskil knows Devik and his work. They suspect. And the last thing I want is for the world to finally get its hands on those 3, only to find that they're a trio of illiterate lab lizards who have nothing to show for my care but trauma. No. They will be educated, intelligent people with the skills they need to appear normal when it matters. The success of our experiment relies on more than their genetics and ability to kill. They've been privately educated from infancy, and that will continue. They don't need the Rysender or the Van Helen or the Zika Institute to be major players on this planet. They only need to survive.
You see their role clearly, where Tristan and Devik do not.
Yes.
And Osa?
Osa? You're calling her Osa now?
I am learning.
Yes, Osa understands. I told you she has a brilliant mind.
As do you, where it counts. You just heard The Brilliant Minds That Rule, a Dex Legacy interlude starring Chris Gregory as Nathaniel Dex and Emily Ingpen as Otto, with music by Dr. Alan Stroud. The Dex Legacy was written by me, Emily Ingpen, and produced by Alternative Stories. If you enjoyed that interlude, please like, subscribe and comment, it really does help. If you would like to support The Dex Legacy, you can at ko-fi.com/The Dex Legacy Audio Drama. Links can be found at www.thedexlegacy.com. Previously on the Dex Legacy Kickstarter campaign, Emily and Chris launched their Kickstarter and have been overwhelmed by the response, but the journey is not yet over. They have stretch goals to reach, excellent perks to give away to anyone who backs the project, and only 3 days left. Special podcast looking ahead to Season 2 of the Dex Legacy and sharing progress on our Kickstarter campaign.
We're now into the last few days of the Kickstarter, so if you were thinking of backing us and haven't yet done so, now would be a great time to make that pledge.
We have all sorts of tiers and rewards for our backers, many of which are still available. If any of you have used Kickstarter before, you'll know that projects tend to announce different tiers at different price points to offer rewards associated with them. We've tried to offer a combination of items you can wear, hold, or read, alongside experiences such as the chance to join our launch party or our Discord group.
Because we are the Dex Legacy team, we've given them names associated with the show.
Emily, shall we go through the tiers and what you get with each of them?
Indeed. So, firstly, it's important to say that you can offer a donation for no reward, just because you love the show. This means that you don't need to engage with our merch giveaways. You can simply be an altruist.
Indeed. But altruism aside, our first tier is called Citizen of Dex Island. This will cost you £10, which is around $12.50 US. And for this, you get a signed postcard, a bookmark, and a sticker, which will be mailed out to you. Plus, you get access to the Dex Legacy Discord group, where you can chat with us and other fans of the show. And a mention on our website.
So, as a rule, most tiers include all of the rewards from the previous tiers, so I won't mention these again. The next tier is called Dex Military Recruit, and it costs £25. For this, you'll get an extra signed cover print and a mention in the presenter script of an episode of our second season. The cover print is high quality, and we'll get all of the core acting team to sign it when we get together in the studio. They'll be great for framing.
Next up, you can become a Dex agent, like Kit and Valentina, for £50. These characters will become much more important in Season 2. The tier offers all of the rewards of previous tiers, plus an invitation to our Season 2 launch event on Zoom. We'll both be there, as will many of our cast, and we'll give you unique insight into the behind-the-scenes process of making the series, plus opportunities to have a sneak listen to a scene or two, and a question and answer session at the end.
The next tier, at £75, is called Swarm Pilot. Swarm fighters, as flown by Raya in the show, are small aircraft that are launched from the Dex airship Angel City. We'll hear much more from Raya and about the Swarm crews in Season 2. In this tier, you get all of the rewards already mentioned, plus the opportunity to sponsor one of our actors. This will get your name alongside your chosen actor's profile on our website, a personal message from your actor, and mentions in the presenter script and show notes of an episode where your actor features prominently. Now, many of the crew are already sponsored, but a couple are available, including the fabulous Louis Watson, who plays Devic. Here's a bit of Louis in action.
This is fascinating. Look at Isra's readings, Tristan. Sudden swings in cortisol as soon as the agent leaves the room. She's fine when they're in there with her now, but as soon as they leave...
She believes they're going to hurt her brothers. That upsets her.
I've been gone 3 hours, and you're still having fun.
Hello, sir. Look at this.
For £100, you can become a Dex military general. In this tier, in addition to all of that previously mentioned, you get to sponsor an episode of the show, so your name or message will be featured in that episode in our spoken and written show notes. You'll also get an exclusive, limited edition Dex Legacy t-shirt with either the Dex Fleet Admiral or Military General logo. These are available in black, or really, really dark grey, black. You'll also get a signed copy of our Season 1 script book, which Emily will tell you about shortly, and an invitation to an exclusive Q&A with myself and Emily. These events will feature a maximum of 5 guests, so you'll get plenty of opportunities to ask questions, and we'll share some behind-the-scenes insight into the making of the show.
The Dex Legacy Season 1 collected scripts and commentary includes all of the scripts from Season 1, plus commentary about the making of the series, the characters, and more. It's a great companion to the show with real insights into everything behind the scenes, the good and the bad.
Our next tier is for truly dedicated fans, and we're calling it Member of the Family. In this tier, you get all of the rewards mentioned for the previous tiers, plus your name or message will be read at the end of every episode of the series and featured on our website. You'll get a printed copy of one of the Season 2 scripts, which will be signed by Emily, and a PDF version of all of the other scripts from the series. Also in this tier, you get to make a cameo appearance in an episode of Season 2. So if you always wanted to hear yourself in an audio drama, this could be your opportunity. We'd like to give a huge thank you to everyone who has already backed us at this tier, and we can't wait to allocate you roles in the show.
We have one more tier, which we're calling Commercial Partner. I wanted to call it Political Ally, but Chris said it might put people off because it's aimed at businesses and organisations, but it might also appeal to self-published authors. It offers you the chance to have a short commercial recorded by one of our actors and played 3 times throughout Season 2. You'll also be featured with a 100-word message on our website, and we'll mention your name in each episode of the series. Your recorded commercial will be available for you to use on your website or wherever you like, and you'll get a signed picture and a personal message from the actor you choose to record it. You'll also get all of the rewards from the other tiers, of course. This tier will cost you £500 and it's limited to just 6 backers. It may sound like a lot, but hundreds of people download the Dex Legacy every day, so that's a lot of exposure.
Now, to back us in any of these tiers, or just to find out more about the show and our plans for Season 2, you can go to kickstarter.com and search the Dex Legacy. We'll post a direct link in the show notes.
If you have already backed us and want to increase your pledge to get more fun rewards, you can do so easily on Kickstarter. If you want a Dex Legacy limited edition t-shirt with the Fleet Admiral or Military General logos on them, you can increase your pledge by £25. These t-shirts will not be available to buy on our store and may never be available again, so they really are a bit special.
Kickstarters are time limited, and ours will end at 4 p.m. UK time this Thursday, the 8th of June. So you only have a short time to join, pledge and claim your rewards and become a part of the making of Season 2 of the Dex Legacy.
We'll end with what may be a spoiler for some of you, so close your ears now if you haven't listened to our final episode of Season 1. Here's the last minute of Valuable Assets Part 2. Season 2 will follow on directly from this cliffhanger.
Thanks for listening, and so much love to all of you who have backed our Kickstarter campaign so far.
Well, it is a beautiful night to get this bird back in the air. Raya, we set...
All cargo and personnel loaded and on board, Idris. We're waiting on Varian, Isra, and Ren.
As usual.
Here they come.
Power up the engines and give me a full overview once they're online.
All engines enabled.
They're on board. Closing front lower hatch.
Engage thrusters.
Thrusters engaged. Countdown to takeoff.
Hey, kids. Glad you could join us.
Idris, it's good to be back.
Ready for your next deployment?
Ready for a few months of freedom from this place.
Same. Just show me the fight.
Plenty of fighting where you're going. Raya, take her up.
I wonder if we'll be happy to see Dex Island again. We were after Dominar.
We won't be seeing Dex Island again, Isra.
What are you talking about, Ren?
We won't be seeing Dex Island again because we're going to escape. And I know how.
Hello, Commander. My name is Nicholas Felix, and next up you're listening to my track, The Brigade of Atlantis. If you'd like to listen more of my work, please visit www.nicholasfelix.com. Fly safe and enjoy the show at Lave Radio.
Hello and welcome to Lave Radio.
Greetings and welcome to Lave Radio.
Greetings, Commanders.
Greetings, Commanders.
The show that talks about the universe of Elite
And the development of the computer game Elite 4, known as Elite Dangerous.
and the fantastic
community that surrounds it.
Broadcast from the Orange Sidewinder and hosted by a vending machine technician.
A place of nonsense and innuendo for forum dads.
A self-contained podcast 2 hours long.
Transmitting to every corner of the galaxy.
It's even louder than me.
The hottest show this side of Dizzo.
The name of the place.
Lave Radio.
Lave Radio.
Lave Radio.
Lave Radio.
Greetings, Commanders, and welcome to episode 444 of Lave Radio, the show that likes to talk about the universe of Elite and the fantastic community that surrounds it. I'm your host, Commander Phoenix Defire, Chief Archivist of Lave Station, otherwise known as Colin Ford, and joining me in the Orange Sidewinder bar for this episode, we have our Head of Health and Safety, Commander Adler Weiss, otherwise known as Ben Muswoodward.
Yeah, I've survived 24 hours on a bus just to make it back.
On the
In
megabus.
Glasgow.
In the megabus. We also have our staff liaison officer, Commander Psychit.
Hello.
We have our SRV Banksy, Commander Alec Turner.
Good evening, space nerds.
And joining us for this episode, we're going to call him the Thargoid Analyst. And we'd like to welcome Commander Ian Doncaster.
Hi.
Welcome on board. Now, if you wish, you can join us live. We are hanging out in-game in open. Where are we hanging out, Ben?
We are in Plater's Refuge in the Hilla system for obvious reasons.
For obvious reasons, which we'll touch on later. If you can't get to us in game, you can also join the Twitch chat channel, which you can access through laveradio.com/live. Click on the live chat, or go straight to twitch.tv/laveradio, or you'll find us streaming on Twitter, YouTube, and
Facebook, because Facebook's being a dick.
Oh, we're not on Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook's being a dick, but nobody listens on Facebook anyway.
We do get a couple of likes on Facebook, surely. Or is that not important right now? Anyway.
Facebook's irrelevant.
All right, well, let's quickly go around the teams, see how they've been for the last week, and eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Well, we can't let that bus comment go, Ben, so how was Glasgow?
Glasgow is actually more like Aberdeen. Although I got an emergency. Ben, you need to get up and say hi to Aberdeen for a bit. So I did that. And that was all fine. I discovered something amazing, that my grandmother does have a heart, even though it is giving up.
Okay.
So, yay for that. Whilst up in Aberdeen, I did go see the Across the Spider-Verse film, and I genuinely think is probably the best film I've seen this year, and I would argue it's probably the best film I've seen since Avengers Endgame Infinity War. It was very, very good. Builds upon the Spider-Verse film and takes it in a great direction. I loved it. Sony knocked it out of the park, basically. Yeah, I loved it, and just like the first one, it's Comic Association approved, and the different styles of artwork that are in that movie are. It's just fun. It's a visual spectacular. It's beautiful. Yeah, I could gush about that all day. As I said earlier, I did go to Glasgow on the way back home, and had a nice burger. Grant managed to completely ignore me and avoided a nice burger. And then I got the full Glasgow experience with drunken Celtic fans and the police coming round and escorting said drunken Celtic fans around. So that was fun, dodging various pools of bodily fluids. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing the photos, by the way.
Naturally, at least I blurred them. You didn't have to click on the spoiler picture, and I could have gotten worse.
Knowing Glasgow bus station as well as I do, well then,
yeah,
probably quite an easy night actually.
It probably was quite a quiet night. And then, as I said, it was a long trip, but yeah, I'm glad I made it, and I'm glad I made it back down again safely. So that's all good fun, I guess, isn't it?
Yes. We're glad that you survived the bus trip, because we're just there looking at you. You're doing what?
Yes. But there was a guy who was sitting next to me on the bus who, that morning, so Saturday morning at the crack of God knows what, went from London up to Edinburgh, spent a few hours around Edinburgh, went over to Glasgow, and then was on the night bus back to London again. And I was just like, you are absolutely... But he's only in the UK for 3 weeks, so it's like, fair play to you, but you are a nutter.
Yes, absolute mental.
Yes.
Very much so. Okay, Commander Alec Turner, how have you been this week?
Good evening. Yeah, I've been good, actually. What did we do? On Saturday, we went to, me and my wife went to Hatfield House, which we live relatively close to Hatfield House, which is one of these sort of big old country houses that you can go to, and had a fabulous brunch and then wandered around their gardens. What I thought was quite interesting about the gardens is they have lots of lawns, not one massive lawn, but lots of separate lawns. And they've got robot gardeners robot grass mowers to cut them all. So every lawn's got its own little docking station and a little robotic lawnmower. They've got loads of them. It was fascinating just watching those all busy themselves and scurry around the lawns. They seem to do quite a good job, actually.
Nice.
Yeah. Sunday we went out for a family lunch with my 91-year-old stepmom. That was pretty funny because we were all coming from different directions, and due to some confusion over who was picking her up, very nearly all ended up at the restaurant without her, which would have been absolutely hilarious. I could just see us all arriving and going, hang on a minute, where's Joan? But we remembered at the last minute, and I zoomed off and we had a nice meal, so that was good. In-game, I went to Hilla for obvious reasons and visited a bunch of the various stations, platers, tyranny, and so on and so forth. And then while I was there, noticed that, because I hadn't spent that much time in the system, but I noticed it's got 6 atmospheric planets prime for exobiology.
Nice.
Several with 8 signals. I think there's 3 with 8 signals, 1 with 7, 1 with 6. It's good stuff. So I fancied staying in the system just to see, who would turn up and who wouldn't. I just wanted to spend some time there anyway. So I decided it's one of these stupid moments where you make a sort of little vow to yourself. I thought I'm gonna scan all the exobiology in Hilla. It becomes a bit of a task. So I literally only finished doing that this morning. Oh, and I have an osseous story because I promised Psychic on her live stream that I had an osseous story. So for those who haven't done much exobiology, the osseous is notable by being quite a solitary plant. So you see one perched on a mountain, or they tend to favour these little sort of rocky ridges and things, and you think, right, that'll be my next plant. So you scan it, and then off you go looking for osseous number 2 and osseous number 3. That can take days, and you instantly regret scanning the first one. Anyway, I must have been drifting around this planet. So I'd scanned the first one, I got back in my ship, and off I set looking for the next one, and I must have been looking for a good 20 minutes maybe. I finally see one in the distance. I get closer and closer. There it is. I'm looking for a place to land. Just as I'm looking for a place to land, you'll never guess what I saw next to this osseous.
Another osseous.
My own damn tyre tracks. I'd gone round in a fucking circle.
It's a good job that the tyre tracks are still there, because
Yeah.
why is this not working?
Anyway, that's what I've been up to.
Yeah. Psychit, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. What have I been up to? This weekend I watched the Formula One. It was alright. It was alright. It was alright. I feel like I got heat stroke by being out in the sun for like an hour on Sunday afternoon, and got halfway through the Grand Prix and just went to bed. So I didn't get to see Lewis, and spoiler alert, I didn't get to see Lewis and George on the podium. It's been really nice weather, hasn't it? I've been doing lots of things involving rainbows, and it's been really nice because Twitch asked me if I would like to be included as sort of like one of the representatives of the Twitch like queer community on a front page shelf, which has been really awesome, and it's really beautiful to have been asked, and even more beautiful to be included when I've only been out for like 2 years. So it's a lovely, nice, welcoming community. Woohoo queers, woohoo. In game, the last system that Operation Witch Hunt can kick Azimuth Biotech out of without there being some kind of hand wavium which leaves Azimuth in systems, i.e. they're the only faction, they're locked behind mine, or they own a megaship, is One Drama, and that went into retreat. They went into retreat from One Drama, I think on Thursday or Friday, one of those 2 days, and I've just been doing a lot of stuff against Azimuth Biotech for the old witch hunt nonsense. But yeah, that's about it.
Ding
Nice.
dong, the witch hunt is not dead.
No, it hasn't been dead for a really long time. There's there are a couple of other factions that are up in there, but we've been slowly chipping away and just doing stuff, which is it's been really nice, really heartening to see, because it's given me, back in the day when we were like proper ham, I didn't really have a lot of time to be able to dedicate to other projects, and like all of it's June, it's a pretty gay month, so I've been doing a lot of gay shit. And it's been nice to not have to have so much of a big hand in it, and I'm watching everything, but it's just been ticking over really nicely, and we've managed to us and other groups who are also working towards a common goal have managed to get them to this point, so it's really lovely, and it's a nice final hurdle until the story progresses and we have to fight Salvation in his Guardian mech suit.
Also, we just await that. Await that.
Give us access
That's
to behind
all, shall
mine, you
we?
shit. Someone will have a go at that.
Ian, welcome to Lave Radio. I think this is the first time we've had you on.
It is, yes.
Yes. Hello. What have you been up to for the last week in game and out?
I mean, out. I've mainly just been enjoying the nice weather. In the first time for a while, it's just sit out in the garden and have it be nice and sunny. And in game, still trying to figure out what's going on with the Thargoids at the moment. We've got stuff mostly pinned down, but there's still some weird stuff going on there that we don't have an explanation for yet.
Intriguing. What we might come onto this later, I suppose, but what sort of things are still mystifying you?
So, over the last kind of 6 months, we've been working to figure out, what are they up to? What are they doing? Are they going anywhere in particular? Are they going particular systems? Is there a limit to how fast they can go? All that sort of stuff. And we thought we had it nailed down pretty well. We got to a point where sometimes we could say these are the systems that they will put into alert next week and actually be right. Which, pretty good. Except then, for no apparent reason, 1 week, Maelstrom Haddad only put out 4 alerts rather than 5.
Interesting.
And it did this for 3 weeks in a row, and then went back to normal. That was a bit weird. We didn't figure out a lot about why it had done it. We managed to rule out quite a lot of things it wasn't. And then last week, well, this week, I guess, Maelstrom 4, again, only 4 alerts. Had plenty of space to put 5. Didn't.
Any theories on that?
It might be worth holding that until.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm getting far too into the main
Otherwise, we're going to like not have anything to talk about later.
That's very true. Fascinating. Right, hold that thought.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah,
we have
lots of theories, but later.
We have lost Colin very, very momentarily, but I'm sure he will come back. But I think if we move over to what the devs have said this week, and then when Colin returns, he can come back on that. On Friday, we had update 15.02 announced, which came out of bloody nowhere.
Didn't it just? Yeah, didn't see this one coming at all.
It was
exciting, though.
Super exciting, and also like the promise of it being quite a substantial update without anything else other than it's going to be pretty good. It'll be good for you, which made everyone quite excited. And then on Friday, we, like as usual, we had Paul Crowther's Galnet News Roundup, which was always beautiful. And then on Monday, we had our patch, which went through pretty well as far as...
I thought it was a bloody awesome patch. Can I just backtrack? I've literally just read something that I'd never realised before. In that announcement of the update, Sally made a comment about it being quite sizable for a point update, and there was a lot of chin stroking going, I wonder what's coming. That I've just realised she was referring to the update notes and not necessarily the update itself. I never realised that before. I thought it was the update.
No, the update was like 9 less than. Well, it was quite small.
Right.
Was it?
I don't know. It seemed to update.
I don't know. Yeah, it did it quite quickly, but then I have decent internet, so I'm quite fortunate in that everything kind of updates quite quickly.
What an update, though! I mean, update 15 and the 2-point releases have just been a fantastic collection of bug fixes.
I feel like we have this situation where it's the big thing on the 15.02 was the thrusters. So right, would we be fair in saying that? Do you think?
Yeah, I didn't realise quite how widespread the pain caused by that was. I felt like maybe it was niche, that maybe only the sort of buckyballers and a few others were sort of really aware of it, and I've heard quite a few people saying didn't seem not to even notice what it was. So I thought, oh, that's cool, they fixed one of our little bugs, but the reaction to it seemed to be huge. I was quite surprised at the number of people who were vocally delighted about that bug fix.
I didn't realise that it was broken until it was fixed. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody else.
I saw you experiencing its fixedness on Twitch, so I know exactly what you mean. Suddenly going, oh, this I can land a cutter now. I didn't realise I wasn't supposed to be able to before.
Like, how have I lived with the cutter being that sluggish all of the time? You know, it's
Maybe
really
you're just always used to it.
Well, I mean, I think because apparently it's been broken for quite some time, hasn't it?
It has, unfortunately.
So maybe I've just like blocked out the good bit from my mind, and I'm just like, okay.
Makes sense.
What was the problem with the cutter? Sorry.
It's every ship.
It wasn't just the cutter, but basically, if you were people did quite a lot of research to try and pin down exactly when it didn't occur, but basically, if you were in an instance that contained landing pads somewhere around, I think that was a thing. So around a fleet carrier or around a planetary port, or obviously rotating stations, but not necessarily, then your ship's lateral thrusters could be very weak unless you turned off rotational correction. So if you, because I've noticed it on a lot of sort of buckyballers videos of runs and things, you know, people like Shay or
So it's
Sker,
basically why whenever you're trying to land your cutter or other ship, it feels quite drifty.
Yes, sometimes you'll be coming into the pad, you've maybe sort of come in slightly from the side, so you've turned yourself around and you're sort of drifting slightly sideways towards your pad, and then you apply the opposite thrust to stop, and it does absolutely nothing, and you just drift straight past your pad, and you're thinking, what the hell's the matter with my bloody thrusters? It was that.
I always just assumed I was being shit.
No.
Does that explain the drifty standard Cobra then? Because every time I've flown the regulation Cobra, it drifts like crazy.
I suspect it won't explain all drifting, and any drifting that you still experience is your own ineptitude and not a fault of the game.
1,000%, 1,000%. But it does. It felt like I wasn't. The amount of times I've been like, why is it not doing anything? Why am I relying on hopes and prayers rather than the actual tools that I have in game? So it's quite rewarding, actually.
I know this is something that the buckyballers won't be able to answer about, but does this also explain why, especially larger ships, autopilot suck so hard at getting out of the dock recently?
I think so.
I think so.
Yes,
because I know they like thrust up all the way, and then I guess they're meant to stop in the middle. And the number of times my Imperial cutter has just slammed into the roof of the other side of the station afterwards.
I had that with my Clipper as well.
Yeah,
I feel like auto dock on the bigger ships is now less bad.
I want to go and summon my cutter now, but I also don't because I don't really need it here. But I want to try.
The amount of people that got really excited about that fix was that seemed to be the highlight on the entire thing. But there were some nice other things in there as well.
Yeah, sure were. Pulse wave analyzer. I mean, I haven't been back mining, but I know that's been going on for it feels like years. People say pulse wave analyzer didn't work anymore. So
it's been since update 12, which is more than a year ago. And so that's good to see, because now I can use the pulse wave analyzer in the Maelstrom just to have a look at those rocks in the Maelstrom. And that'll be interesting to see whether or not the Thargoids take any notice of you if you fire a pulse wave.
Do we think? Sorry, I was going to. This good a time as any to raise this. These point updates have been brilliant, and I love the fact that they're addressing some sort of fairly old bugs. Finally, it feels great to have these sort of things fixed. I've seen some sort of speculation of, people sort of saying this is a great new direction, can't wait for the next one. Do you think there will be a 15.03? Personally, I don't. I feel like both of these, there's a bit of a pattern here with Frontier that when they make an update, so in this case, update 15, if there are things broken in the kind of headline feature of the update they've literally just released, then they're very focused on doing a point update to fix those issues.
Yes.
But once issues kind of become old, they tend to stay old, if you know what I mean. I mean, it's lovely that finally they've addressed some old ones, but I feel like I was just looking back on patch notes, so I feel like 15.01 was essential because the scouts were going berserk, and there was an issue with engineering the caustic sink launcher, and there was a thing with propulsion elements. So there was some sort of fairly headline features that needed fixing in update 15. And I kind of feel like 15.02 was almost essential as well because of there was something in it, but I thought, that's why they've done this patch. But I feel like maybe they're done now, and I'm not expecting a 15.03.
Yeah, I agree with you on this one. It does seem that what happens is that maybe it's the nature that they do their development work, is that they try and get the headline feature in, then they'll keep on fixing the headline feature until basically they're happy with it or they've run out of time. And if they have time left over, then they'll put in old fixes.
Yeah. Actually, a quick thanks to Shay, who's reminded me, the 15.02, I mean, basically the system map was really quite broken. I mean, really quite badly broken, so I think they had to fix that. And I think that
I must admit,
the reason for 02.
Yeah, the system... Oh, go on, Saka, yeah.
I was going to say, when did they say that we were going to get our next, update 16?
They haven't yet. They said...
They did? No,
they did, didn't they?
They did, yeah. Arthur said. So was it August or was it July? Because if it was August, I might expect a 1503. If it's July, probably not.
When did you hear this? Because all I remember...
Frame Shift Live.
I thought that Frame Shift Live... I knew he announced that Update 16 was coming on Frame Shift Live. And he said that in the next one they might give him a sneaky peek. But I didn't think he gave any sort of timescales.
I'm sure he did.
I'm not sure. No, I think I'm with Colin. I don't know that we have a date. We just knew it was going to be sooner than expected. Why did we think that? Because they were going to give us a sneak peek.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because if they're going to give us a sneak peek, then bring it on. But I got a sneak...
Yeah. No, that's right. That's right. Apathis is right. He said on the next thingy update, they might be able to give us a date on the next update.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm glad that I heard that about Update 16 because, Update 15 came along. I knew there was something, but it was nice to actually just had it confirmed because you know what this community is like sometimes. If you don't hold out the carrot and say something like that, then people think that the carrots are already rotten.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt if they hadn't got off and said, update 16 soon, people would be saying, yeah, it's a dead game, mate.
They're saying that anyway.
It's a dead game. It's always a dead game.
What do you think would be in 1503, Psychic?
I don't know. More
just more stuff, more good stuff.
Check the bugs list.
Yeah,
some of them maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a couple of outstanding bugs that I've hoped that they'd fix in 15. And of course, when this was announced, the poor Sally, she got absolutely hammered on the forum saying, "Oh, that's very nice, but what about my particular bug?" And everybody started listing it, and poor Sally was like, "Oh, I'm taking notes, and I'll pass it back." Because that's all she can do.
Yeah. Every patch notes, it's like, what about my bug?
Yeah.
What can you do?
It was all about me.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I mean...
It's like those whinging bastards that complain about quality of life fixes, honestly.
Yeah,
I mean,
it absolutely is. It is
It
about
really
those
pathetic.
those fuckers who think that quality of life means anything other than quality of life.
I am so sorry, Sally. It was a nice week. It was a fantastic patch note. The last thing you needed is pedantic arseholes like me quibbling about quality of life.
Mansplaining what words mean. Fuck me.
Well, it's just people's different definition.
The thing is,
No, the thing is, put it to bed and lie in it.
All right. The thing is, it was on the internet and I was right. So what can you do?
You can beat that dead horse. That's what you can do.
Oh my god.
I mean, I must admit, like, have you got it out your system now?
Yes.
Yeah. I must admit, there was a point when I said there's lots of quality of life things coming, and I thought, and everybody.
It improves the quality of my life.
But I can, being fair to Alec, I can understand where he's coming from.
No, I can't. No, let's not be fair to any of you fuckers. Any of you entitled little bitches can sit the fuck down.
Because Frontier have traditionally said, these are bugs, and we are fixing bugs. And then they've said, this is going to be a minor improvement to the game. And they have specified that rather than just, it's quality of life, mate.
But then when they started saying, oh, we're going to be fixing minor improvements and doing things to the game, people were like, oh, don't say that, man. It just says minor improvements. And you need to be specific.
You can't be happy, for God's sake.
That's literally what I hear when you start talking. I'm sorry, I am being an arsehole for the effect.
Oh, of course.
I do still think that you're all wankers, though, if that helps.
As I said to Alec, well, basically what you said earlier is like, is the game worse? If not, shut the fuck up.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Keep quiet. I'm hearing that I should keep quiet.
I'm so sorry, Alec.
Oh, that's right. You've got a big stick outside getting to say to beat poor Alec down into a puddle of mush.
Backtrack now and go, I'm so sorry.
You're apologising to mush. Well done. Yeah. I mean, it all depends on what your definition of quality of life improvements are. And
I keep talking about
different. And then some people's are different.
So, then you're going to be disappointed.
Keep going on, keep talking about it. Sounds great.
But we'll put it this way, we're all very happy with what we got.
Yes, I would like to make it very clear that I absolutely love these point updates, and also that Sally is a wonderful person.
Oh my goodness! Okay, Alec, you've laid it on thick enough now. Okay, I think you've apologised.
Please, can I have a bucket little plug on the live stream now?
You got one anyway. Because they weren't you mentioned about 4 times the other week. He's like, Alex won this, and Alex won this.
I've
and
lost
Alex,
my
I think, is
copybook
doing
now.
one thing.
You wait, I won't get my name mentioned once next week.
But you just might be referred to as that Turner.
Yeah.
Well, at least they can pronounce your name.
Oh yeah, that's true. Can you pronounce Alex's name?
The jury's still out on that one.
Anyway, looking through the rest of the additional fixes of note, there's one thing that I did see was a slight adjustments have been made to the tactics by various Thargoid vessels, so they don't become ineffective at dealing at targets and locations that the ship won't willingly navigate close to the carcasses along the structure of a Titan. Does that mean there's nowhere to hide in a Titan now?
No, you can still hide it. Well, we'll test it out on Thursday. No, hang on. No, wait, we're Monday today. We tested out on Monday.
It's Tuesday today, love.
Yeah, sorry. No, Monday was the day that I did it. Sorry, that was my articulation getting fucked. But it's still, you can still hide. We tested it pretty thoroughly. I managed to get out twice. If anything, it's slightly easier now. Because you don't get 2 pulses as you're going in anymore, which is really nice.
I got 3 last time.
Well, was someone else in there?
Actually, yes, there was.
If someone else is in there,
it's so dodgy.
Yeah, if someone else is in there, that changes everything. You get pulse upon pulse. But if you're the first person in there, I tried it 2 times, so obviously this is the case, and it will not change it at all for anyone. But on the 2 times that I did it, I only got 1 pulse going in.
So
Which was new
basically,
to
you
me.
don't want to hit a Titan's sloppy seconds.
I just knew he was going to go there.
There's an anus joke in there somewhere, and I can't find it.
And there's cheese, I believe, as well.
Something like that, yeah.
Oh dear. Yeah, so one of the things that I did this week, and you can actually see my absolute frustration, is having to... I spent an hour trying to get into the Maelstrom. I got hammered by glaives, a bad joystick, and my incompetence until I finally got there.
But the silent running trick.
I didn't try the silent running trick. I just panicked and ran away, and it didn't work.
Silent running trick definitely works. Silent running, heat sink, boom, you can get away. Go to the other side of the Titan, job done.
No, this wasn't in the Titan. This is just in Bloomin' Hyperdictions.
Oh, have you tried using the ECMs?
The EC, I don't have enough space on my ship for the ECM.
Oh, you're gonna need to.
Don't need ECMs. Don't need ECMs. Silent running, and they never get a missile thrown at you.
Totally disagree. Had that happen on Monday.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Were you very quick? Were you very quick with your silent running?
I was in my cutter. Very quick with my silent running.
Were you very quick to hit silent running?
I believe so.
Because I found that is the key. Hit it the instant you get control of your ship back, and then boost away, and the glaives don't know you're there.
Lovely.
Well, worked for me every time. But
further testing required.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that sounds fun. So, yeah. I mean, one of the problems that I had during the weekend was are the glaives still as nasty in this patch? Because I haven't had a chance to play since.
Yep.
So they're still as nasty. They haven't dialed it down or anything like that.
Nope.
No. Right. Okay. I just have to prepare myself next time I go into these things. I am beginning to despise glaives. Really. Yeah, I must admit,
I'm really angry, and they interrupt your material gathering. It's annoying.
When I was hyper addicted on my 3rd attempt, I thought, oh god, here we go again. After being, this is going to sound so dodgy, being double glaved every time, and then all of a sudden a Medusa jumps in, and I go, oh, thank God for that.
Yeah, you're never so happy to see a swarm. Oh my god! Never been as happy to see a swarm.
Medusas.
Yeah, exactly. I can get away from those. It's no problem.
Yeah, I mean, right. Well, going back to the patch quickly. Yeah, I'd like to see a 0.3, and I think maybe a slight balance to the glaive, and probably a lot more off the issue tracker, especially CQC. But what about everybody else? Is there anything that you'd like on a 0.3 out of the way?
I figure we could probably do a whole show based on that. So I'm going to remain quiet based on hashtag content.
Fair enough. Right. Okay, then we will move on. As soon as I find everything's gone dark on this house. My machine is just playing silly buggers. Right. Yeah, there was a web version of the notes which should be sticking around after the forum version gets unsticky. The one thing that I have noticed on the forums quite a lot recently is certain people have started bringing back old threads into the announcement section. So this morning when there was an announcement in the in the news and bulletins section saying updated roadmap, everyone quickly jumped on it, and of course it was Arthur's post from more than a year ago.
It was 2021, I think. It was like December 2021, his post.
Yeah. And he's just there thinking, oh, don't do that. I got excited then. And they're carrying on doing it. They're finding as many old posts as they can that sound great. So, and then you put it up and they go, that was almost 2 years ago. Oh.
Did you see the way that Paul closed it?
I love that.
It was so funny.
Paul does love his necromancy.
As much as I personally appreciate dabbling in necromancy, this thread has expired a bit too long for viable reanimation. Constructive feedback is always welcome, but if we can keep it to a slightly fresher threads so the files don't block out the messages, that would be awesome.
Flies, but I get the gist of
flies, sorry.
Flies because of the rotting corpse of the thread would be the flies.
Got it. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, well, you can tell that Alec's not really into his dead bodies.
I mean, some people have got to have a hobby.
Right. Well, overall, positive reaction, I think, to the to the patch, and it's very nicely put out and very smoothly distributed. I don't think there was a single problem or anybody reported a problem anyway. So, yay. Thumbs up, keep it up, Frontier. More, please. They're going, oh no, Lave Radio said they want more. God, get to...
They don't listen to us.
Dead show, mate.
All right, it's Dead Game and Dead Show now, is it? Right, I think shall we move on to the community news. Right, first off, we have Ascorbius doing The Aftermath. This is a project that Ascorbius has been working on for quite a while, him off the broadcast, and he's got a trailer together from it. So, we'll put a link in the show notes. Has anybody had a chance to see this yet?
Yep, it's really good. It's going to be really good. Scorb's a genius.
It is, isn't it? There's a lot going on in that trailer that's pretty wow.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be epic, I think.
Scorb does do great stories and machinima content, though, and he always has.
Yeah, I mean, with his friend Turin's Travels.
Turgeon.
They've been pushing those machinima boundaries for quite a while. It's really beginning to pay dividends for them, isn't it? Now, we have something new. A new listening post /planet base /logs have been discovered in HIP 83788, just under 1,000 light years from Sol. Who found this?
I popped this in. It was just a thing that popped up on the thread on the forum. It was kind of interesting because I sort of don't. I confess I don't pay that much attention to listening posts and things.
Uh-huh.
But I noticed this thread and it seemed to gain some traction. And yeah, it was a brand new set of 3 listening posts, and I think they tend to triangulate a planet, and on the planet there's a base, and on the base are some logs. What I found kind of intriguing in the forum thread is it reminded people that I think it was David Braben a long time ago said there are things in the game that people haven't found yet, and this was a nice example of one that's probably been there forever.
Do we have any indication from the content or anything how long it's been about?
So it doesn't have audio logs. So that would potentially be an indication. And with the fact that you're triangulating from listening posts, that would potentially be an indication that it's a little while back.
I think it also ties in. I haven't spoiled myself and even looked at the logs. I'm going to go there and find them for myself. But I believe it ties into some of the other much older lore in the game. So it suggests it's been there for years, I think.
I don't know.
No?
I feel like it's one of those ones where you go to it and it doesn't necessarily have to tie into anyone. It's just like the tail end of a story or something that's happened, maybe just something a little bit creative to find within the galaxy, that kind of thing. There's not really a reference to anything, but it's a nice. It's one of those things where it's one of those little self-contained bits, and I like those.
Okay, cool. Have you seen it? Do you know what's in there?
Yes, I do know what's in the notes.
Okay, cool. All right, you speak from.
Yeah, we will not spoil it for people. Although knowing Galnet news is probably in there, but it does look as if it is old content because it's on a Horizon style planet. So yeah, I think it's still nice that these things are being discovered.
I love it.
Actually, to visit it in Legacy and see if it's carefully placed, because a lot of these things were carefully placed in Legacy so that they're in a valley or in the middle of a crater or something. And of course, when you visit them in Odyssey, they're just in the middle of a flat bit of landscape.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting.
Part of the baking in process, I suppose. Yeah. Right. Well, no, the Thargoid Glaive, that much mentioned and maligned ship. Know Thy Enemy. It's a new video from the. I think is it from the AXI or is it from?
Yeah, it's somebody in the AXI.
From the AXI. So basically, they have come up with a whole load of tactics which are needed in order, and how to deal with your glaive problem. Yes. I must admit, I did try and take it on with just some multi-cannons the other day. Didn't go well. Not well enough.
Sorry. I can kill it with multi-cannons. My bad, Colin. I made assumptions there. I wrote checks that I could not cash. That is my problem. I do apologise.
It's good. It's a good video, actually.
It is.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah, it is good.
So she's out to hammer all of us into puddles at the moment, isn't she?
Why? I just feel I'm really enjoying this.
What have we done to hurt you, Psykit?
I mean,
we've existed.
Continue on with the show. It's fine.
Okay. Well, the other important thing about this is that something new starts on Saturday. Alec, over to you.
Yes, it is Buckyball Racing time again. So this Saturday running till the following Sunday. This is Skur's Tunnelish Vision, which I briefly touched on last week. The forum thread is now up in the events section of the forum, so I guess you could find it there. If you go to buckyballracing. Just quickly check that URL, buckyballracing.org.uk. There's a link there to the forum thread. So this one is basically you have to take off from a start station, which is in Gainsler Station in the Finger system.
Right.
And you start there, and then you take off, and then you have to fly through in any order. It's a great selection of things. You have to fly through the ring that goes around an Empire capital ship. The kind of habitation ring, there's a little gap there, so you have to fly through that. There's I guess it's an Orbis port, and they have some rings. They're almost like handrails until you get close, and they're obviously much bigger than handrails that go right around the front of an Orbis port. You have to fly under both of those.
Mm-hmm.
There's a capital ship, and you have to fly through one of the gaps that goes right through the middle of its superstructure.
Doesn't it open fire on you when you try and go that close?
Not if you're fast.
Oh, right, fair enough.
Gotta be fast. There's some tunnels, some installations where you've got to fly through a single tunnel. There's a surface port, one of the big round surface ports, where you have to fly in through one of its tunnels and out through the other one. And then there's a couple of bonuses as well. One of these isn't too bad, so I'll read the second one first. The optional bonus 2, which gets you 20 seconds off your time. For reasons, Skur has called this Turner's tactical bonus. And basically, you have to do any one of the above in reverse. So basically, get yourself flying towards one of these things, and then do an FA off flip and go through it backwards. And you'll get a 20-second bonus for doing that. The big bonus, which you get a whole minute and a half off your time, is to do a trench run.
Ooh.
Now, if anybody, people who are keen on their flight assist off will probably know what I mean by a trench run. So on a Coriolis station, each of the edges has an internal trench that you can get into. So if you fly to one of the corners of Coriolis, you can poke your ship in through a gap, and then you can fly along these inner trenches. and then
I
out again.
never knew you could do that. How big a ship can you
That's been in
manage?
there for years, Colin.
Yeah, it's bigger than you'd think. I think Skur has managed to get a. Did he get a cutter in there? He got something ludicrously
Sweet Jesus!
big in there. It's bigger than you think, but it is a tight squeeze when you're not experienced. What's interesting is because the whole station is obviously rotating.
Mm-hmm.
You're moving along a trench which isn't stationary. So so going along a trench that's moving in space is more complex than it sounds. And Skur's released a fantastic video today, which is a tutorial on how to do it with flight assist on, which is actually harder than, well,
Flight assist off.
in a way. If you're used to flight assist off, then sort of momentum does a lot of the work for you. Whereas if you're flight assist on, your ship wants to go in a straight line, and this trench isn't going in a straight line. It's moving through space. So anyway, you don't have to do that. That's just a bonus, but you'll get 1.5 minutes off if you do.
That sounds awesome. I'm going to.
So you fly through all those tunnels, and then you go back to the start and you land again. So there's only one landing in this race, which is kind of cool, actually. You take off, do a whole bunch of stunts, and then come back and land.
Yeah.
Approximately, how long does it take you to do a trench run? You gain 1.5 minutes, but
if it takes you more than 1.5 minutes, then you probably don't want to do it.
Yeah. How long does it take you to do it?
Do you know, I haven't tried a single trench. What I have done is spent a lot of time going round and round. But you've only got to do one of them. I mean, I can do it in under 1.5 minutes, I would hope. But probably not much under a minute. I don't know. They're not the sort of things you would boost along unless you were a flipping expert, frankly. I think the only person I've ever seen boost along a trench run is Sanderling. I'm sure there are a few that can do it, but
Right. So it's my aim to see how many regulation Cobras I lose trying to do a trench run. Then
Absolutely.
I think everyone should give a
We'll
trench
have
run a
it
go
happen.
before abandoning it and going, I won't bother with that bonus, because it is fun.
all of a sudden I feel that I'm going to just be like Darth Vader's wingman. You know,
There's so much
Into the
detail
side.
that you don't see in a Coriolis. When you get in the trench, you know, there's windows and gantries, and there's so much detail around the edge of a Coriolis. It's astonishing.
I'm going to have to do that in VR then. Just to see. Right. Well, now, if you have a community event taking place soon and would like to shout about it across the airways, you can tweet the crew at Lave Radio or email info@laveradio.com. But we'd like to end this section, of course, by paying tribute to one of our own content creators, and that would be Commander Joe Plater, who unfortunately passed away earlier this week due to well, everybody who knows him knows what he was fighting. So I'm going to hand over to Psyche here, because she's spent a lot of time putting together something.
Yeah. So, and apologies if I can't get through this, but we had a big conversation about what we wanted to do and what we want, because we wanted to do something for Joe because he's so special and such a wonderful person. And I was really lucky a couple of years ago to sit down with Joe and have a conversation with him as part of Flight Assist. And I figured, let's go back and listen to some of that. And I'd like to play some of that for you now. Okay, it will be with you in a second. It was a really nice conversation. I am planning on going back and completely remastering the whole episode because it does need a remaster.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that Joe was good at was he was able to put everything in such clear terms. I mean, both his presentation skills with Elite Dangerous and is obviously his vlogs. They are there's something that I think is a life lesson to everybody, because I just hope that if I have to deal or face the same thing, I can just manage with the same level of
100%, Colin. 100%.
that he managed.
I hear you.
Yeah. Are we ready?
I think so.
Okay.
I referred a lot to the British Thargoid Foundation for a source of information. Is there something that I can do? What if I did a charity live stream? I thought, I could do 24 hours. That's what I thought. I can stay up. I can stay awake playing Elite Dangerous for 24 hours. And I don't know why I thought I could do that. What an idiot. Like, what an absolute idiot. So I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And I did it once. And it was a great success. And, we raised kind of £3,500. So I was like, cool. You know what? I'll do another one next year. That year came round. I did it again. And raised £8,500. I'm like, wow. That's mental. That's absolutely crazy. So then it comes around and I'm like, right, I've probably got one more in me. And this was after I'd had the anaplastic diagnosis. I was like, I've probably got one more in me. I'd completed chemotherapy, and I was like, cool, I've got this time where I'm not on treatment. I am just essentially living life, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to freaking go for it. And I did it. And I did this 24 hours and called it Challenge Plater. And over the course of these 24 hours, I was joined by loads of different content creators. But yeah, loads of people from the community turned up, and I was seen across the line by like 500 people watching, and I was in voice with loads of people, and by that point I'd been awake for over 24 hours, and I just thought, this is nuts. This is actually, can't believe I managed to do this. And then my mum came into chat, and she said, not voice chat, but in text, and she just said, it's mad to think that this time last year we were worried that you wouldn't be able to talk ever again, and here you are, having spoken constantly for 24 hours. And I was like, oh God, my heart, why did you do that? Like, don't react to it, don't read it out loud, don't say you've seen it, because when you get that tired and you've done something like this where it's just gone, everything has gone perfectly, there wasn't a single thing that went wrong, no tech issues, and I was just like, this has worked. We've raised a crap ton of money, and it's like, don't cry. Oh no! And then I cried at the end of the stream. So what? I did, and I kind of had this emotional talk with everyone, and say, look, I don't know how much time I've got. I don't know how long I'll be here for, but I do hope I'm here for as long as I can be. And and at the end of the stream, I got contacted by the British Thargoid Foundation. They say, we watched it, we saw it, we think you're incredible. And then they announced they've done a research award named the Joe Plater Research Award, and it was available. I think they closed the availability mid-April, so they're kind of picking the project they want to work on. And it's £20,000 to go towards a project specifically to help and benefit the diagnosis and treatment of thyroid cancer. And it's great to know that I've raised about £20,000, and all of that is going into researching this horrible disease. And that's like, cool, that's a thing. That's a really cool thing. And that is like one of those moments where you're like, did good. I did a good thing. And it's a bit of a legacy, which is all you really have at the end of the day. It's can't take any stuff with you, but what you can leave behind is this thing that hopefully will help thousands of people.
We all know what it's like. You're busy managing your settlement when suddenly the alarms go off.
Oh no, not again.
That's right. A commander with a Federation naval rank of Admiral, an Imperial King no less, has landed in a ship worth over 100 million credits and is killing all your staff, while they look around for a 10 credit adhesive to glue an upgraded scope to their 100,000 credit assault rifle. They fly away with their super glue and you're left with a problem. How are you going to get your agricultural plant back up and running?
How am I going to get my plant up and running?
How are you going to find staff at short notice?
How am I going to find staff at short notice?
How are you going to deal with all those bodies?
There's bodies everywhere, and they've stained the carpet.
Wonder no longer. Call Aries Crime Scene Cleanup Services.
Hello, I'm Harry from Harry's Mine. After a sudden increase in robberies and murders by commanders since 3307, I've gained valuable expertise in cleaning up bodies, recruiting new staff and restocking stationary lockers. Now you can benefit from my experience by signing up to our Crime Scene Cleanup Service subscription plan.
That's right. For only a small monthly fee, when your settlement alarms are activated, our rapid response cleanup crew will be dispatched, along with our patented Cadaver Scoop 150. The Cadaver Scoop 150 can be mounted to surface reconnaissance vehicles and skimmers to make tidying up your settlement a breeze.
Wow, the bodies are gone.
Our recruitment team has potential new employees on standby across the galaxy, ready to fill your vacant roles in security, logistics, administration, processing, and more.
My plant's operational again. Thanks, Aries Crime Scenes Cleanup Services.
Aries Crime Scene Cleanup Services. We'll have your settlement as good as new before the next ship arrives. Cadaver Scoop 150 disposal bags sold separately.
Lave Radio, broadcasting to every corner of the galaxy.
Have you found yourself in a spot of bother with those Xenos messing up your backyard?
Oh, why are there Thargoids in my system?
Can't leave the house without fear of a hyperdiction?
Can't even get to work. Not that they've noticed, because everything's on fire there too.
Sick of the amount of time it takes to scrub the caustic damage from those hard-to-reach places?
Oh, fuck, oh, it fucking hurts, fuck, ow.
Introducing Dr. Pope's Caustic Burn Cream. Apply a few drops to the affected area and feel the euphoria of instant relief. After that, just wash the burn away.
It's like it was meant to happen.
It's so good, you can even use it on your ships.
Thanks, Dr. Pope. My ship smells brand new.
Dr. Pope's Caustic Burn Cream, the miracle that can happen. Side effects may include dizziness, constipation, an itching sensation, worship of an obviously aggressive false deity, death, and loss of sense of smell. Should you experience any of these symptoms, please contact your doctor immediately. Not Dr. Pope though, he's busy.
And welcome back. Right, we'll just quickly go over what's been happening with the in-game events this week. The Pulse Wave Xenoscanner was officially launched on Thursday the 1st of June. Obviously people then went dashing back into the maelstrom with it, with mixed results. It took me quite a while to actually get my head around how it works. Did anybody else have trouble with working out what it did?
I know what you mean, and I'm really curious for someone to remind me how the mining one works, because what threw me was you kind of hold the trigger down and it does its ping, it does its pulse, but then you kind of have to keep the trigger held down until it kind of completes the things it's found kind of stick. That was my impression. Like if you just did the ping and then let go, then the things it highlighted didn't seem to stay highlighted. The effect didn't seem to stick. It felt like you had to. But the mining one, I can't think how it worked, but it didn't work like that. It worked.
No, the mining one it sends out a kind of a big sort of submarine type pulse, like a proper big ping, and then everything
but you
that's
still press and hold the mining one, don't you? Is it the other way around? Does it go ping at the end of the press and hold, or?
No, I normally it's just a ping. I just click it and ping off it goes for the mining one.
Okay, so the press and hold is odd.
Actually, it's not, because it's more like scanning a megaship. When you actually scan a megaship and you see the megaship all
yeah, I suppose so.
Glow.
Yeah, okay.
Only this one glows green, surprisingly enough.
It's like a strange, weird hybrid of all three. Kind of thing, because it does that and then it does something else and then the thing moves together. The first time I used it, I couldn't find anything as well. I literally couldn't see any of the little green, the things that were highlighted green until I then realised that's what I was looking for. So I don't think it's like super easy.
No. I must admit, sort of the first time, actually the first time I used it is on Twitch anyway, so everybody can see how my massive amount of incompetence going, I don't know what I'm looking for. But there were a couple of things in there that surprised me. One of which was what looks like a port, which was glowing green, but nothing seemed to interact with it.
Yeah.
And I'm there thinking, oh, perhaps that's where we might head in at some point.
Yeah, I thought that was really odd because all the other things that it highlights, the highlight is quite precise. You know, so if you've already been over the surface of the Titan pre this scanner, picking its various scabs off, for want of a better analogy,
Barnacle fishing.
Indeed. You know, then those things are quite small, and you can find them without this. And this sort of puts these little, fairly precise little green circles around these things. And what's really odd is that there are things you can kind of abrasion blaster off near the launch tubes.
Yes.
But it doesn't highlight those. Instead, what it does is it highlights the entire damn launch tube like a massive great "go in here" sign. Except you can't.
Oh, well, one thing I did notice is that if someone else has got there first, they don't regenerate. If they've gone and knocked those pimples off, if you like, and collected those, they don't regenerate. Because there was a couple of spoiler alert, there's stuff around the mall, and obviously the person who got in there first had managed to get them first. And when I went in there and scanned, couldn't see a thing, couldn't find anything. And that was, I could find other things around the place, but no luck getting the stuff that I was really looking for. But it did give me a lot of close-up encounters, and I definitely felt like I was... Oh, how shall I put this? In Star Trek Voyager, there was an episode where they followed Seven of Nine before she turned into a Borg with her family, and they had developed these kind of shields, and they were so that they were not detected by the Borg, so they were just basically flying next to a cube, just observing what the Borg were doing, knowing that at any moment the Borg could turn and find them, and basically that would be them. And I just got the same kind of vibes with this.
You feel like you're just completely intruding in this space.
Yeah, you just think, I shouldn't be here, really.
There's never a moment where you're like, I am comfortable in this space, and I love that. Absolutely love that.
Yeah, I mean, it is mesmerizing to watch. You see all the Thargoid vessels come and go. You can see the glaives and the scouts being launched from various parts, and yeah, I was shocked enough to see the blue pumpkin effect that you were on about for the first time. That is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Did you trigger it, or did somebody else in your instance trigger it?
Someone else in my instance triggered it twice somehow. And first time I was outside, just admiring the effect, and then second time I was stuck right in the center of it, trying to get one of those hardened Titan samples off, and then all of a sudden there's blue auras all around me, and I'm going to die. It was really good though. Really enjoyed it. So yeah, the pulse wave scanner. I'm definitely trying to. I still feel like I haven't discovered everything I need to discover, and I'm trying to avoid watching other people's YouTubes because I don't want to be spoiled.
I think I've got all the map. Well, I haven't got a fleet carrier, so I haven't got anywhere to store these tissue samples. So although I got some, and all I could really do with them was sell them. So I've got all the mats. I think I'm done. I feel like I'm done. I mean, I'd not that I don't want to go in again because it's such an awesome environment, but I feel like for now not sure I've got anything else to discover in the.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's one of those moments where you want more, but you know that it's if you get more, there won't be as much later on.
Yeah.
We're having to.
Yeah. I'm just fascinated by those launch tubes being so specifically highlighted, but maybe I'm reading too much into it. I don't know.
Yeah, but I got obsessed. Don't worry about it. Like I got obsessed by those doors in at the Guardian sites, which I'm sure I could see through into, but of course nothing. Honestly, I thought I was onto a unique winner there, but no, everybody else had tried that before me. Anyway, this Monday, the Emperor's Ire. This was Emperor Arissa's response to, let's just say, that upstart starting to cause drama.
Hey, and another thing where the Emperor is like Empire is trying to remind people that they exist.
Yeah, I like the fact they said, no, we're not talking to either the Alliance or the Federation. No, we're not. We're completely isolated from them. But we are talking to Aegis because they weren't in existence by the time when we put this down. A nice little loophole, I thought.
And also, Aisling came to me for you, and now Aisling came to me for Aegis. So I've got to be good from both. I've got to keep passing to Aisling, and Aisling's just in the background updating her Instagram account.
Space Instagram, whatever that is.
Spinstagram.
Spacetagram. Right. Well, like I said, not that much news this week. I think everybody has been more interested in actually discovering what extra stuff we can find in the Maelstrom. Right, now. I think it's that time of the week again.
Store alert!
In the bi-weekly newsletter, here come paint jobs for your arts. In the bi-weekly newsletter, here come paint jobs for your arts. A store alert, a store alert, a store alert, a store alert, a store alert. Which one will you buy? A store alert, 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 a store alert. Which one will you buy?
And welcome back. We have something from the 70s. The Orca has been given a 70s groove-like paint job, which is bringing back horrible flashbacks of my mum's curtains, to be honest. Yeah, anybody interested in some Orca curtains?
Nope. No, but what they could do is look at that. Count how many stripes are coming out the back of that. You've got 3 and 3 and then 1 in the middle. Don't need to worry about the 1 in the middle. Just those 3 on one side can be red, orange and yellow. And the other ones could be green, blue and purple. And I don't know, but that might make a rainbow. And that might do something.
If only we could mix and match our paint jobs, you could make your own pride flag.
If only there was any sort of representation in LinkedIn, that would be great.
Have we seen these paint jobs before on another ship? Because I vividly remember a conversation about pajamas last time we showed these.
Yeah, we have.
Okay.
Or was it the Dolphin?
We've had one on the Cobra, I believe. Mm-hmm. There's one where it actually does look like the carpet from The Shining as well somewhere.
Oh yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Oh man. I must admit, I saw The Shining not so long back, and then watched the Ready Player One version of it.
Oh yeah.
I didn't realise how shot for shot Steven Spielberg managed to do it. It was unbelievable.
Have you seen Dr. Sleep as well, Colin?
No, I haven't seen Dr. Sleep yet. That's one on my list, which is it the official sequel to it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I thought so. I couldn't remember whether it was actually official.
Yeah.
Because it was based on a book, because Stephen King wrote it, or whether or not it was
No,
something
Stephen King wrote it as a sequel, sort of.
to The Shining.
To The Shining.
All right, gotcha.
Yeah,
Right,
but then again, a lot of his books have a lot of crossover. So, but yeah, this is definitely sequel.
yeah. So yes, if you would like your orca with stripes from the decade that taste forgot, then yeah, feel free. So what we're going to do, take a slight break, and then we'll be back with our main discussion and our guest looking and analysing the Thargoid situation.
There's bargains, bargains, bargains at Etienne Dawn's Unspecified Meat Emporium. Etienne Dawn's Unspecified Meat Emporium haven't just been slicing carcasses, but also slicing their prices. All unspecified meat sausages, now 2 for the price of 1. A pack of assorted meat steaks, now with 50% more meat at half the price. How about chops? Our surprising meat chops, now also 50% off. And introducing our massive meat hamper. It's a family of 4. No, that should say feeds a family of 4, right?
Stick to the script, Claire. It says it's a family of 4.
Okay, I'll stick to the script.
Yeah, you do that.
It's a family of 4. Etienne Dawn's Unspecified Meat Emporium. Find us in the Lave business directory or visit us next to the station mortuary. Etienne Dawn's Unspecified Meat Emporium. You'll wonder how our prices are so low.
This is Lave Radio. LaveRadio.com. Space is vast, and pirates have needs just like anyone else. Introducing the Lonely Pirate Handbook, the ultimate resource for lonely pirates. Our guide covers the hot spots and not spots of interstellar space, from smugglers' dens to space station taverns, with helpful chapters such as how to be presentable in polite society, how to get rid of that nefarious rank, and my favorite, occasionally shower. Are your early advances often mistaken for attempts to rob or plunder?
Oh, I've come a long way for what's in your hold. Prepare to be boarded.
Frameshift charge detected.
Oh.
Buy today and receive the Lonely Pirates Chat-Up Guide for free.
I've got a very large hot point. Would you like to see my very large hot point?
You're so hot, you're making my temperature critical.
Lower your shields. I want to inspect the goods.
Come back to my place. I might let you touch my A-rated anaconda.
Are you smuggling illegal goods? Because you've got fine written all over you.
The Lonely Pirates Handbook. Now available in all Anarchy bookstores. We'll teach you to loot anyone's heart.
And welcome back. I'm sorry. I think every time you hear the Lonely Pirates Handbook, you're just there thinking, I'm sure that we could come up with some better lines.
No, we definitely couldn't. We thought about it for a really long time. I'm sorry, that was the best that we had.
They're pretty good. They're pretty good.
Ah, dear. Right. Well, the main discussion this time, we will drag in our guest, who's been very, very quiet today. Ian, welcome along.
Hello.
Hello. Now, just to let people know who you are, you have an ongoing thread on the forums, which everybody has referred to as the go-to place to find out what's happening with the Thargoid War.
Well, one of.
Yeah,
one of the places.
One of the places.
I think it's certainly the one that has the most, or feels like it has the most scientific approach. I loved how. I mean, I really loved how the forums thread started off with lots of blanks. You know, there was this fantastic statement in the OP about this happens and then this happens, and all these things were blank, and then over time you've been slowly filling in the blanks. So that was a really nice way to do it.
Yeah. I've tried to take a fairly scientific approach to it, which it can be a bit demoralising at times because it's really easy to prove a theory wrong. most of what it's been feeling like for most of the time, it's been, like, is this the explanation?
Yeah.
What fits that and that and that? Oh no. Nope.
Yeah, it only takes one exception, doesn't it, to break the rule, and then you're back to, well, not back to square one, but it must feel like that sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, it was the same when the Thargoids were coming, and we were trying to work out where they were going and so on, and I can tell you 50 places they aren't going. They're not going to Seoul, they're not going to Akina, they're not going to anywhere that seems remotely interesting. They've basically shown up by the time we figured out where they were actually going. But
yeah,
it's live on a lot sometimes.
Well, the one thing that's I've always wondered is, did we ever find the origin points of where the Thargoids came from? Because I know they all came from different directions. They didn't come from one particular place, did they?
Yeah, they're all spread out, and most of them are kind of on the same side, and then raging all the way out on the other side, and then it kind of had to do a very sharp turn to get back to the side of the bubble the others were on. So I don't know what that was up to. As far as where they came from, it's really hard. Space, yeah.
So they came from space. I cracked it. I cracked your code. Boffins back here. I'm sorry.
To be honest,
continue.
No. I mean, to be honest, that's about as far as we've got. Because if you track their paths, if you assume that we didn't see them and have been underway for a while, and track their paths back, those paths don't point anywhere interesting either. You know, most of them, they just go on for a bit and then it goes straight out of the galaxy or something like that. So it's entirely plausible that the reason we saw them coming from where they are is because they're a giant swirly thing in space that's really obvious once it starts moving.
Yeah.
They'd been hiding out in some anonymous system for however long. And when we decided that they needed to be over here, they got up and loudly came over here. Now that might mean there are a few million more of them scattered around the galaxy, just quietly killing in interstellar space, not doing very much. Or it might be just these 8 of them, and there's really no way to tell.
Yeah, I've got a horrible feeling that I think there's going to be more than 8 for the whole Thargoid race.
You think another wave's coming?
I think if by some miracle we manage to deal with them, then yes, I think we might be facing 16, not 8.
Can I ask? I'd like to just go to complete tangent town, Ian, and say I first discovered your post when I was first learning the BGS and doing bits along those lines, and saw your big BGS study post about the current theories and all of those kind of things. And I know that you've done the Colonia survey, and there's other things that you definitely have your hand in, that you're keeping notes and you're keeping track of. I'd like to ask a very open wide question. When do you play? And what do you do when you play?
So I mean, I find that actually doing the research is one of the things which keeps me playing, because
yeah, absolutely, I completely appreciate that.
You get the data. I mean, to be honest, I haven't changed much how I play since I was playing Frontier Elite 2 back in the 90s. I pick up some cargo, I take it somewhere, maybe some missions going that way, and then I sell it and I pick up some more and go to the next one. Lately, if I see a planet with some exobio signals, I'll drop in on that and scan those for a bit of variety, but mainly it's just the same raid missions. There's another pirate after the cargo.
I can relate to that. It can be a very leisurely game, can't it, actually? And it's quite nice just to... We talked about it last week, just replaying those leisurely game loops that you enjoy playing, actually.
Yeah, and it means it means I kind of get around the region and see stuff that's different, see if anything's changed. And I mean, Colonia's been quiet fairly recently, but you pick up on stuff pretty quick just because you're going from place to place and you're not going like A to B to A to B to A. That actually limits the number of missions I do, because most missions require you to go back to where you got the mission to hand it in. So, no, I'm not going to be back for another week.
Yeah, that's very true.
Give me a mission to go somewhere else.
I've got another question, actually, if I can chip in with a question for Ian. So I think we might have been off air, but I was sort of talking about the Titans, and you pointed out that you're currently 22,000 light years away from all the action. I was intrigued, actually. Have you? So you're obviously sort of out exploring. How long have you been out that far?
So I moved out to Colonia shortly after it was established with the Galactic Nebula. Because I was on the Galactic Nebula expedition, which was heading from the Bubble to Sagae, down a bunch of Western Nebulae, and shortly after the basic plans were being put in place for the expedition, Gax got discovered, pretty close to where we were going anyway. So there was a bit of tweaking, and we went to the newly founded Colonia Hub station for some drinks, and then we got lucky that while we were there was a big mining CG to set up some more stuff, and a bunch of outposts springing up, and it just really caught my attention as a place that's a bit different to the Bubble, and essentially I've been there since.
Wow.
I've taken the occasional trip here and there.
What I find absolutely fascinating about that is that one of the foremost thinkers and analysts on the Thargoid situation presumably hasn't encountered one, because you've been, a long way away from the Thargoid action pretty much since they turned up.
Yeah, indeed. When I left the Bubble, let's see. So barnacles had shown up because I've seen the barnacle.
Yeah, they've been in a few years.
They've been in a while.
Good few years.
But I think I basically left before anything much after that came along.
What would you do if you were back in the Bubble now and you wanted, what would be the first thing, and you had any ship you wanted? What would be the first thing that you would actually go and investigate for yourself?
I'd probably go and check out some of the Guardian ruins, because we have many of those out this way either.
Yeah, of course. There is one towards Colonia, isn't there? I seem to remember when I did my Colonia expedition, there's an odd, there's a sort of slightly odd one out planet with some Guardian ruins about halfway or a little bit more.
It's about halfway, which is still is always just too far for a day.
Yeah, I guess it is. That's true.
Yeah, so I'll probably go and check that out at some point. But yeah, it's one of those things where I did a brief visit back to the Bubble for a bit of engineering work back before we had engineers of our own out here, and that was years ago as well. And then the closest I've been since is when they had the research CG for Holloway. I went back most of the way to the Bubble, and having been out in Colonia for years, it's weird. It's so dark. How do you stand it? Do you not just trip over stuff?
So funny, because every time I go to Colonia, I'm like, it's so bright out here.
It is true for anyone that hasn't been, to Colonia or deep into the galactic core. The difference really is quite profound. We're so used to seeing a particular sky, I suppose, as we are in real life, that when the sky is just different, It's quite a profound effect.
And you've got Barnard's Loop just staring at you all the time. Does that not creep you guys out?
Are you telling me that you're not creeped out by the sky just being purple constantly?
I mean, at least it's not looking at you being purple.
I mean, sometimes the space madness can get chewy, and I'm not like.
So I've actually never, because I'm never been out to Colonia. I've got 2 commanders which are halfway there, but I'm stuck. Actually, I'm stuck doing a lot of exobiology myself. I found 6 worlds, all with 7 or 8 plants on them each. So it's taking quite a while to get past this one system. Yeah. I mean, what is so special about Barnard's Loop? Because I've never seen it.
You have seen it. You can see it from the bubble.
Yeah, I haven't seen it close up from Colonia, though.
You can't. That's what Ian was saying. He can't see it, which is why we should be worried about having a Barnard's Loop staring at us.
Right. Okay, so I've got the wrong end of the stick there. Yeah, wrong end of the stick there. Sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, so Colonia, I mean, first of all, when you've looked at the Thargoid situation, in your opinion, how screwed are we?
It's very hard to tell. I mean, at the moment, they're contained.
They do seem to be, yes.
Their strategy is effective against certain human strategies, but it can be countered, and people are starting to learn how to counter it.
Yeah.
And it's not a quick one. You know,
Oh, no.
It's a patient strategy. If we left them to it, it'd take them a while, but they will get there. And that's fine. You know, they've been around for millions of years. They probably can afford to be patient.
Yes, they certainly are an enigma when it comes to this. But one thing that I have enjoyed has been reading through the various strategies or the speculation about where or what they are doing. And I mean, things at the moment have plateaued. I think that's mostly. Do you think that's because Frontier have basically hangstrung the maelstroms, or is it because the community is actually cottoned on how to stop the alerts?
I mean, I think there's a bunch of separate things going on. They have weakened them a bit from when they first showed up, which has made a difference, but I think it's also been about kind of thinking a bit. I mean, this is one of the nice things about the Thargoid War. You can think about it strategically. You can think about where you need to defend, where you need to go to make the most impact. Or you can just say, well, that invasion looks fun. Being with a bunch of guns, open fire, you'll still be doing some good.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of one of those things where you've got these various strategies that people have been trying out effectively in different places. So you've got groups, places like Tyrannus or Indra, who've been going very heavily on defending the inhabited systems and stopping the invasions and that sort of thing. Remember Wakasa forever and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
At Oya, they went very early on for blocking all the alerts consistently 5 out of 5 every week as soon as they could. And that established a perimeter which they were then able to start reclaiming stuff outside it without interference.
Oh, right, okay.
And then at Maelstrom Haddad and more recently at others as well, they've been trying to get a step ahead of the Thargoids, working out where to hit their control systems to stop them making that next step forwards. And so forcing them kind of into suboptimal moves.
Right. So when you hit a Thargoid control system, does that have a negative impact about the number of alerts or the number of invasions that happen in the next week?
Not directly, no. The Tharg, other than the weirdness I mentioned at the start of the episode, the Thargoids will put out 5 alerts per maelstrom per week. There is nothing in practice that can be done about it at this moment.
Yeah.
So, in theory, there may be things, and there is the weirdness. But what you can do is think, because we're getting a good idea of what the Thargoid's targeting priorities are.
Mm-hmm.
You can say, all right, if we block them from attacking this, they're going to attack this system from here. So if we take out their invasion, their beachhead,
yeah,
they won't be able to attack that system. That'll move this system instead onto the top of their targeting priorities, and that one we don't care if we take, or that one will be easier to defend next week, or that sort of thing. So what's happened at Haddad is the defense team there has been doing this for quite some time now. Basically, as soon as we were able to feed them accurate enough data for them to give it a go, and that has led to Haddad's territory becoming very egg-shaped.
Right,
So
gotcha.
It's got a narrow, pointy end towards the bubble and a wider end out back into deep space, where they're trying to get around the blockade that the defenders have created. And that's led to them being hit very hard in recent weeks and losing a lot of ground, because when the defenders at Haddad aren't having to worry so much about keeping them off the populated systems directly, they're never getting close to them.
That sounds good. They're not getting close to them. But yeah, it's. I mean, we all know that Frontier could probably just press a couple of buttons and then the entire thing just turns on its head again. The main question I've got to ask is, do you think they're going to do that?
I mean, I'm expecting some surprises still from them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's at a stake here where actually, if someone walks into Frontier and says, "Thargoids are out of fashion now. We're going to do weekly CDGs at Colonia." They could just leave the Thargoid War there in its current state, and it would work, and it would be entertaining and so on. But it would be entertaining as kind of a dynamic stalemate.
Yeah.
There's a limit to how far, in practical terms, the Thargoid can be pushed back. In theory, it could be all the way, but I don't think there's enough pilots to do it.
No.
And there's a limit to how, in practice, to how far they can get out, because their expansion, there's a lot of systems for expansion, so people are going to keep fighting them at least somewhat. So they could leave it there, but with all the stuff with the maelstorms and getting close to them, I think there's more coming.
Yeah. Alec?
Yeah, Ian's comment about pushing them back just reminded me of something I'd forgotten, actually. This is going way back in a live stream. I think it was a comment Arthur made, or maybe even Bruce. And they were talking about the opposite, about the expansion of the sort of Thargoid invasion from the 8 Maelstrom systems, and how they kind of got weaker as they expanded further. I don't know if the evidence and the numbers kind of backs that up, but the idea, the thinking was that as they got further away from their control points, they were essentially weaker and would slow down. And I don't know if they explicitly said this, but the opposite seemed fairly obvious to me, that as you pushed them back in towards the Maelstroms, they would get stronger. And it kind of left me thinking maybe maybe it's quite neat. People enjoy the Thargoid content, so in a way we don't want to eradicate them from the galaxy, because then all that lovely content has gone, and new players or people that like playing it wouldn't have maelstroms and things to go into. And that seems like quite a nice balance mechanism, that as you push it back in, it gets harder. So essentially, if players are keen on fighting Thargoids, then we get to push them inwards, and if we relax, then it comes outwards but slows down. I don't know if you sort of agree with that, Ian, if you feel like that's how it would go. And
yeah, definitely that's how it is. There's been some interesting research done this week, but by one of the teams on the post on the forum about exactly how those curves kind of work, and there's a big ramp up in how tough the systems are once you get close to 20 light years to them.
Right, neat.
And then it flattens off, and it's pretty much flat, not quite flat, but pretty much flat after 30 light years. And then the other thing, of course, is that it's space, so expansion's cubic. Getting to 40 light years is 8 times as many systems-ish as getting to 20 light years. So that also slows them down a lot. So there'll be a balance point somewhere where
and not only that, but there's a balance point almost irregardless of how many players decide to get involved in it. If there's people are really keen on it, it'll reach a balance point. But equally, if people slack off and start doing other things, that will presumably also reach a balance point, I guess. So it's
definitely,
Claire, you've got a question.
I do. The question that I was thinking of, like, you've been monitoring this for since the beginning, effectively. And we talked about Frontier, like changing the goalposts and things along those lines. Have you noticed any? I say changing the goalpost, changing like particular values and things that Thargoids do. I haven't been paying super attention to the ins and outs of everything that goes on, but have you noticed like a couple of maybe surreptitious times when they've moved some sliders up and down outside of announcing it?
I mean, usually there's been an announcement, but it's not necessarily been an announcement that would let you know what it meant. And there have been some subtle changes over as well. Difficulty changes per system, there's been a bit of that here and there, sometimes announced, sometimes not. Couple of more interesting changes. Up until about mid-February, the Thargoids were expanding in kind of a banking pattern, but we're getting fair distances out from a maelstrom fairly quickly. And then in February that changed, and they seemed to focus much more on building a solid defensive shell around each maelstrom. And that was never announced as a strategy change or anything by Frontier. It just showed up retrospectively in the data a couple of months later that something changed at that point, and we don't know why.
Fantastic. Follow-up question. Is there any time where you've been like, I'm certain that the Thargoids are absolutely going to do this 100%, and then you've had the rug swept from under you?
Oh, yeah. So at the moment, we can predict with often 100% accuracy what the Thargoids targeting is going to be. But there's been some weird cases where and that works. Most weeks nowadays we get every maelstrom bang on correct as to which system it's going to go for. But there's occasional weeks where it just goes very weird. I'm expecting, actually, that at Maelstrom 4 this week, something weird's going to happen.
Ooh. I'm going to need to know exactly what that is.
So, explaining this is going to be tricky. We have an idea of the Thargoid targeting priority, and normally they pick the top 5 on the priority list and attack them, but they can reach given human defense and attack them each week. When Haddad had its episode of only putting out 4 alerts, there was a particular system it skipped as its 5th one. And when that was at priority 5 in the list, it just didn't attack that system. And in the third week of it doing Flawless, that system would have been priority 2. And it just went, it did skip it, but it just went haywire up the rest of the priority list. It skipped 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 11 as well. It was very weird, and we have no idea what it was doing. So, when Ford did 4 systems this week, I asked one of the research teams, and they agreed to basically, okay, 4 skipped this system as 5th last week. Let's make that its first system this week. And we did a phenomenal amount of clearance around the 4 Maelstrom. So that would be the first system on the list. So I'm watching with interest to see what happens on Thursday.
Just to confirm your assumption that everything's going to go a bit weird.
Well, I mean, pretty much, I have no idea what's going to happen.
Incredible. I love that.
Even if it attacks the 5 top targets, that would also be a bit weird, since why didn't it attack one of those last week? It could have. It normally would have. Why didn't it? So yeah, there's still stuff we do not know about what they're up to.
That's fantastic. I love that.
It's not just that there are certain systems that are somehow immune, is it? From Frontier's perspective, maybe there's a player faction in there and they just don't want, I don't know, whether the Frontier are just pushing it away from certain systems because reasons.
It could be that there is a particular system that it is not allowed to go into. And if it tries to go into that system, it not only prevents it from going into that system, but potentially messes up its future targeting as well. That is a possibility.
Right.
But the system that set this off in Haddad and the system that set this off in Thor appear to have nothing at all of interest in them. They're uninhabited. They're just random systems with no apparent stuff in them. So if it is that, why?
Yeah, actually, a follow-up question. I'm just curious. Are there any systems which, by all accounts, should have been invaded but haven't?
It's very hard to tell, because the Thargoids changed their strategy in February, as I said, and we never figured out what the strategy was before that point. And we didn't get a good idea of what we were doing until recently. They don't appear to have. They seem to have gone for the ones we would expect them to in retrospect. There doesn't appear to be any way they're avoiding. But
interesting.
There might be. I mean, there are certainly inhabited systems that they can't, in theory, beat. Because they can only project their power 10 light years from an existing control system. And there are some inhabited systems where the nearest other star is slightly more than 10 light years away.
Oh, I see.
So if they want those systems, they're going to have to do something a bit more creative, like move the Maelstrom to it.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, they probably can, at least in theory, get anywhere.
Excellent. Right, Ben, last question.
Right. I'm just wondering, when all this is being tied up, how would you like the Thargoid War to actually end? And obviously, this is total speculation.
Oh. I really have no idea. I think as long as it doesn't end with kind of, and then the Maelstroms went away again and everything went back to how it was before.
I woke up and it was all a dream.
Not quite that. But if it doesn't somehow shake up the bubble more than just a little bit it was on fire once.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that'd be a disappointment. Anything else, I'm just waiting to see what happens on that.
You want a definitive win or lose?
I think I'd actually prefer a little stalemate, to be honest.
That's so dissatisfying.
It's a mostly win, but there's still a little bit. There's just at least one
half a
maelstrom
shit,
left.
Colin.
It's like half a shit.
I think it needs a definitive outcome. I would prefer that not to be a clear cut. Someone wins.
Oh, it's a friends you make along the way.
Well, not necessarily, but
I know what you mean.
Thargoid's back off. But that's because something else has happened, not just because we kept on it and then they eventually ran out of glaives.
I think that might be our question of the week.
That might be a good one to run with. Well, okay. Well, thanks, Ian. That has been fascinating to talk to you about that because I didn't realise it was the tactics they were using so in depth, but it's always nice to have you on. I think when we're a couple of months further down the line and we see what they're up to, we're going to have you back in for some more in-depth analysis. Right,
thank you.
You're quite welcome. Right, mostly clueless section. You've got a quick public service announcement, Alec, about the system map thing.
Oh, sorry. Yes. A few weeks back, I said that the day-night indication of planets in the system map was 180 degrees reversed, and you could therefore use that to find settlements that were in daylight, for example. I have to report that it largely works. I mean, definitely more than 50%. It feels like a sort of 80% of the time you go to the system map and it shows a settlement in the night side, so you go there and it's in the daylight. Lovely. But it's not 100%. One of the guys that's been doing a lot of the buckyball, I think it's William, has an interesting theory that maybe the light source that's used for the bodies in the system map isn't the main star, that it's something slightly odd like Sagittarius A. What he's observed is that planets that are on opposite sides of the star in the same system have sort of different correlation between how the light shade appears in the system map and how it appears actually in the game. So so I slightly take back my brilliant mostly clues a few weeks ago. You can mostly use it to decide day-night, but it's not 100% reliable. There's more to it.
More to it than you thought. Yeah, it's a pity that, because I was there beginning to use that as gospel as well.
It's good
right,
enough.
It's good
reliable.
enough.
But just occasionally you end up with one in the dark. Hey ho.
Right. Any other business? Well, I've got a little bit. For those of you that like old school D&D, very old school D&D, Planescape Torment, the old the special edition, which has been remastered for modern machines, that is now available for free if you've got Amazon Prime. If you've got Amazon Prime Gaming, then feel free to download a free copy of it. And it's before the modern RPGs turned up. It was regarded as one of the most complex story-based ones there is. And so if you haven't got a copy of it, give it a try. But word of warning, it's not your standard D&D. It's a bit weird, especially when we're talking about moist body insides and things like that. Trust me, and also there's the new system Shockout as well, which is absolutely amazing.
The tentacles.
What, in Planescape Torment?
Yeah.
You can basically snap tentacles off and use them to hit other people with them.
Cool. Sounds great.
Yeah. Like it.
Hey fam, I might have gone a little bit mental with regard to Pride skins and it being Pride Month, but Representation is important. Planet Zoo came out with some Pride merch, and it's really cool and it's really awesome. But why the fuck haven't Elite Dangerous done anything? If you wouldn't mind interacting with the tweet that's in the show notes, and big it up, that would be really great. Hopefully Frontier might take notice. Please, thank you.
Excellent. So we'll put that in the show notes, and it's also, you can see that in the Twitch chat at the moment. Right, there was going to be the question of the week, but unfortunately I think we've run out of time. What we'll do is we'll take all your responses and we'll hold them, so we'll be responding to 2 questions of the week next week.
That'll be like the whole show.
Main topic, questions of the week. Exactly,
main topic. Unless they drop another patch, maybe we get 3. We never knew. We never knew point 2 was coming on Thursday.
Look. As much as I'd love Frontier to work on a weekly basis to knock out updates, that's a pipe dream.
Yeah, I know. Right, anyway, quickly, our shout-outs. Our sister station, Hutton Orbital Radio. It broadcasts on a Thursday from 8:30. You can tune in at twitch.tv, Hutton Orbital Truckers, or if you just want the audio, go to radio.forthemug.com. For the discerning commander who likes a bit of CQC action, you can check out the CQC Discord at discord.me/Elite Dangerous CQC. And we'll give shout-outs to the other 2 Elite Dangerous podcasts, and that's Guard Frequency, who do other space games as well, and also the cheese-loving loose screws over there in Yankland. Now, following this, we have the latest digest news, the latest Galnet News Digest. Good grief, I've gotten my words wrong again. As provided by Commander Witherspoon and Commander Beetlejude. And we'd like to also thank everybody who's chipped in at the Twitch chat. And what in-game commanders have you had to deal with today?
There's been a lot, but Little Biggin's the only one I've really sort of waved at. But there've been a bunch of folks around. Let me dig them up. So, okay, who have we got? We've got Commander Jekyll, Black Knight 7607, Rocky Star, Jinx Effect, Bushrat, Magic Monkey, JT, Siberius, Chris Mark IV's been about, Marco Ramius, Hunter 241, Snappo, William Solo's here. I've already said Little Bigian. And Phil Crane.
Excellent. And of course, special thanks goes to Commanders Tokuso, JN Trax, and Alan Stroud, who all created music used in this show. So that is it for another episode of Lave Radio. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, you can find the contact links in the home/contact us menu section of the laveradio.com website. If you have any questions or if there's anything you'd like us to discuss in the future, please let us know. Now, Lave Radio is recorded live on a Tuesday evening at 8:30 and streamed out at laveradio.com/live. So, thanks to Ian.
Great to be here.
Excellent. Thanks to Psychic.
I probably won't be as mad next week. I'm just really incensed.
Yeah, the big beating up stick will be gone away.
You guys really piss me off sometimes.
Oh, no. She's got the cis stick out. Oh, let's go.
But you were the one who was cis Colin.
Anyway, moving on.
Sorry.
Right. Alec Turner. Thank you.
Yes, thanks, Colin, and thanks, Ian. One of the clearest thinkers on the forum.
And of course, fuck you, Ben.
Fuck you too. No.
So we will also put in some special thanks to today's tech specialist, Commander Ventura.
You're welcome.
You're trying to do a Chris, aren't you? So until next time, Commanders, fly safe. And if you can't do that, fly dangerous.
Is your life like this? Sounds like someone having an orange inserted. Need a safe word.
Space can be lonely.
I'm going to see the galaxy.
Ah, damn it. No worries, guys. Hold the fort for 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
Galnet News Digest, 6th of June 3309. We read the news so you don't have to. In this week's news, we tell you things about the Pulsewave Xenoscanner you probably already knew, and we reveal the astonishing truth that the Emperor doesn't take well to being contradicted.
You can get Aegis's new Pulsewave Xenoscanner right now for less than 1 million credits, and you won't need to supply any squishy lumps of Thargoid flesh. But there's a very strong suspicion that at least one of its uses will be to collect your very own Thargoid tissue samples. The Pulsewave Xenoscanner is a hybrid amalgam of the Pulsewave Analyzer used by miners to find void opals and low temperature diamonds, and the Xenoscanner, which is used to scan Thargoid ships and identify bits of them to shoot research limpets or Gauss cannons at. Occupying only one utility slot, the new scanner can identify points of interest on a Thargoid Titan, and it can also scan Thargoid vessels, though at a reduced range of 1 kilometre. Small numbers of prototype scanners were for a short time sold in error last week. Aegis has ensured that those who weren't able to get one of those prototypes will not lose out by making the scanner available at all the rescue ships for a little over 800,000 credits, and no need to negotiate materials with the tech broker. To get to the Titans, which are in the heart of the 8 Maelstroms, you will still need to unlock and buy a caustic sink launcher and a Thargoid pulse neutralizer, and they both require a trip to the tech broker. Once you have your Pulsewave Xenoscanner and your caustic sink launcher and your Thargoid pulse neutralizer, if you also take research limpets, collector limpets and a mining abrasion blaster, and probably also a heatsink launcher into the Maelstrom, and if you can keep your ship cool and unobtrusive, you can use the scanner to find materials that you can scrape off the Titan with the abrasion blaster. And you can also find tissue limpet points which you can fire research limpets at. After some considerable time, during which Thargoids will almost inevitably start shooting at you, you will find yourself the proud owner of a squidgy lump of Titan flesh, and with the problem of escaping from the Maelstrom with the tissue sample intact. Professor Alba Tesreau, the head of Aegis, is keen to discover all we can about the Titans. She believes that researching the Titans will help us understand the Thargoids better, and that this is the only way we'll be able to end the interspecies war that is currently raging. Aegis has not yet put out a call for field research teams to return materials and tissue samples from the Titans, but such a call is likely to come soon. Those who helped Aegis set up the production line for Pulsewave Xeno scanners can get their free 800,000 credit module from Muller Terminal in the RAB system.
Hadrian Duval has earned the Emperor's displeasure, but she is not going to declare him an enemy of the Empire, at least not if he keeps his mouth shut. The Emperor made her feelings clear as she toured a military complex in Achenar.